All right, so right here, who we have is my grandma, and she's such an important and special person to me, and she's never told her story anywhere. You ever did an interview before, Madear, just
No,
about
I
you?
have not. Yes, I did a short interview with Nathan when I was over in Dubai.
Okay, all right, but I think this is your first one on camera, correct?
No, he did it on camera.
Awesome. All right, cool. So listen, she's been doing interviews for a while now. But this is my grandmother. I call her Madear, but her name is Emma What's your middle name?
Marie.
Emma Marie Davis. And she's been a very important person in my life. I've lived with her many times in my life. I grew up in this house that she's getting interviewed in. And this is the place and where you like to chill. This is your chill spot, right, Madear?
This is my chill spot. I'm usually sitting right here, reading or watching TV.
Exactly. So this is where we're gonna do her interview, and I just got a couple questions, probably around 10, and I'm just gonna ask her about her life and her experiences, and you're gonna tell me all about it. You ready?
I'm going to give it a try.
All right. So, first question. So when and where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in North Carolina in a very small city, Warrenton, North Carolina, that's located on the northeastern side of North Carolina.
Northeastern side, so like near the water?
No, not near the water though.
Anywhere
No.
near a
Good
farm?
distance from the water.
Anywhere near a farm or somewhere?
Oh, there were plenty farms around, but I didn't grow up on a farm.
So like what was like your neighborhood that you remember growing up in? What was that like?
It was a very small community because it was in the country. So you didn't live very close to very many people. I remember my aunt lived a few feet away from me, and then there was another lady, Miss Georgiana, and then further down the highway were other homes, but not close to where I lived.
Okay, so what was it like? What year were we talking? Is this what like time period?
Well, I was born in 1939. I am 81 years old.
So we're talking the 40s and 50s.
Not 40s. We're talking the 50s and the 60s.
50s and the 60s. Okay, I'm talking about like your childhood, like if you were Macefield.
My childhood in the 50s.
50s.
I graduated from high school in 57.
Oh, you're right. So you're right. Okay. So what were like your neighborhood and you say the country?
It was in the country.
So like when you open your door and you walk outside, what do you see?
A big yard.
A big yard?
Big yard.
What color is it?
Grass, dirt, gravel.
Are there mountains? Are there hills? Are
No,
there trees?
No mountains.
Dirt?
No.
I don't know what the country
No
looks
mountains.
like. We live in the
Well,
woods out here.
It depends on what state you're in. Warrenton, North Carolina was not mountainous or valley, none of that level.
Okay. All right. Well, like when you look at the people you lived around, like your neighbors and stuff like that, what was your like? How was your family in comparison to other families when it came to being well off and taken care
But
of?
we were not well off.
Okay.
We were far from being well off. I grew up in a poor family. However, as a child, I didn't realize how poor I was because I had everything that I needed. I never went hungry, never went without what I needed in school or in clothing or what have you. So you really don't realize just how poor you are until you leave home and you think back on it.
So when you say poor, how poor are we talking? Like what are some situations that let you realize, okay, my family is poor?
Well, I didn't live in a big fabulous home. And you must remember too that I lost my mother when I was 12 years old. So a lot of the little things that children got used to because there was a mother in the house or both parents, I may have missed some of that. Although I had a very good father who raised us. There were 8 children when my mother died, and he raised all 8 of us. But as far as having money, I had no extra money. I had money for things that I needed, necessities. But not, I had money to go to the movies. Movies was 25 cents. So we could go to the movies on Sunday or Saturday evenings. We would do what we call go downtown on Saturdays. That's go down really into the city on the street, like if you went to the streets in Ocean City.
So which city are we talking?
Warrington.
Warrington.
And I may have a few dollars to spend to buy little things that I wanted. But
Well, how did your mother pass? What happened?
my mother had high blood pressure.
Ah.
And she had aneurysm.
Were you there?
It was one day right after school. We were walking home from school, and when we got home, my mother was coming back from visiting my aunt that lived right behind us. And she walked into the house, and we greeted each other and all, and then she said she didn't feel good. And she went and she laid down on the bed, and
Wow.
that was it.
So you say you had 8 siblings and
7 siblings.
7. I'm sorry, it was 8 of you in total though. And you said your father pretty much
Raised
held all of it together.
That's what he did.
So do you want to just talk about or describe your father, or just some of the things you experienced with him?
Well, he was a very strict father. I think he felt after my mother died that he had to be strict, especially with the girls in the family. There were 3 of us. Very, very strict. Didn't want us to go anywhere with anyone. He would take us wherever we needed to go and pick us up, bring us back home. But he didn't allow us to hang out, or there was no hanging out. We went to school. We went to church. We could go to friends' homes. I had girlfriends, so he would take me to my girlfriends' homes and pick me up. But he was very strict with us. Kept us very close.
Do you think that?
So you're gonna wonder how did I get to Ocean City to meet?
Yeah, that's
grandfather?
That's definitely what I was thinking. I was just wondering, how did you? You can't go anywhere. How did you get all the way out there?
Well, let's put it this way. I was very popular in school.
Okay.
Grades 1 through 12. I always felt like I was a teacher's pet. And I always wanted to do good in school. Always made good grades in school. When I got to be a senior, there was a lady that had worked in Ocean City for a couple of summers on the boardwalk. And her boss had told her, when you come back next year, bring some girls with you. That was the year that I graduated. And my principal called me into the office and asked me if I thought my dad would give me permission to go to Ocean City to work. And he did. So I was one of 3 girls.
So how did that conversation go when you tell him that you're going to go to Ocean City?
Well, he was reluctant at first. But he knew by then that I had a level head, that
You would make
I
keen
take care of
decisions.
myself.
That's cool. So before we get to you and Pop in Ocean City, I just want to stick to you still growing up, right? What were some of the favorite things that you like to do when you were, let's say in high school?
I like to read. We didn't have television like you do now. We got television toward the end of my high school. We listened to radio. But television was not that popular, and you didn't find the television in every home. Neither did you find a telephone.
Really?
Right. But I participated in every activity in high school that I could participate in. I was in the Glee Club. I had the lead role in the senior play. I was a majorette.
With the lead role.
In the senior play.
What was the play?
And you know what? I can't remember the name of the play. I cannot remember the name of it, but I remember trying out with another girl in my class. Mildred Williams was her name. And I was the one to get the part.
That's awesome.
But in high school, my major thing was majorette. I loved marching with the band.
So you would like twirl and throw and
And I was
spin.
the drum major for 3 years.
That's awesome, Madear.
I loved it.
Is that why you got my mom to do it?
I don't know.
Because I know wasn't like the band. I don't know how much she was into
Well,
it.
she was in the
but-
band. She was in the flute, and she played the flute, and she was very good with the flute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But, yeah, we used to have a homecoming parade at home, and we would march from the school down to the main part of the town, and we would go down the main street and the side street and march back to the school. And when we did that, the merchants and their workers would come out, just like you go to. You've been to the parades in Ocean City and Atlantic City. That's the way they would come out and watch our school, because we had such a good band.
that's awesome. So what books did you like to read? What kind?
Novels.
Novels?
Fiction.
Fiction.
Fiction. I didn't read too many non-fiction books.
So what genres were you? What if I was to go see what books Madear was reading in high school? What kind of books?
In high school, I can't remember. I can't remember the names of the authors, but I can tell you what I like now.
Sure, let's go.
Danielle Steele.
Danielle Steele. All right, I'm gonna put that on my list.
I like Danielle Steele. She's non-fiction.
Okay,
I mean, she's fiction. I'm sorry.
she's fiction. Okay.
Fiction. And I'm reading about three books right now. I'm reading Cicely Tyson. I have Obama on my Kindle, and I just go from one to the other.
Okay. So boom, you get to Ocean City, right? So how do you go from Madear being in Ocean City to Madear with Pop Pop?
Well, there were about 6 or 7 girls that boarded in a particular boarding house on 4th Street in Ocean City, and the boys in Ocean City knew where the girls were. So they came by, and then I used to...
This is funny.
Ocean City at that time was a college town during the summer
Really?
for both white and black.
I did not know that.
All the college kids would come to Ocean City. Not all, but they came to Ocean City, Wildwood, and where else was it? Atlantic City to work during the summer.
Okay.
So there were plenty of college boys and college girls in Ocean City. And
Thank you.
Bless you. I had to walk by Nate's house in order to go to work. I worked on 11th Street and the Boardwalk, 11th and the Boardwalk. And he lived on the corner of 4th and West Avenue. So I would walk by, and of course he would sit out and he'd be wise and blah, blah, blah. And eventually he came down to 4th Street where I lived. And the lady that lived there was very fond of his family. They thought that Nate was tops. He was a top young man in Ocean City at that time. Funny, huh?
That's fun.
Yeah, but he was. And we started talking.
Here I am.
And here I am. I dated him for 4 summers.
Really?
4 years, really.
Wow.
Because I met him when I came out of high school, and then I went to A&T for 4 years.
Yeah.
And he went to law school. He finished up at Rutgers for 2 years and went to law school for 3 years.
Okay.
And we knew each other that whole time.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you had a time machine, Madear, and you could go to any part in your life, or just any place in general, right? Like, if you could go anywhere, any age, any time period, go back to see anything, where would you go? What was like the fondest time you remember?
Probably my college years.
In Ocean City?
And I don't know, yeah, and that would be the whole thing, the year, the summer school, and also, summertime, and also the school.
And what year is this we're talking?
57 through 61.
Okay.
And probably because that was just the period in which I grew up, really. Nothing fabulous about it, but just the grow-up time, away from home, taking on responsibility.
So when you think of those summers, what are some songs that pop in your head?
Pretend you're happy when you're gay. Johnny Ace was very popular then. You don't even know him.
Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace was very, very popular. I want to say the Pretenders, but they were not the Pretenders. That was the name of one of the songs that they sang. Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke. Pop Pop still listens to him now.
Fats Domino.
Fats Domino. Okay.
And the guy that used to dance with the guitar. Can't remember his name. But there were some very good singers, and why can't I remember them? Because I went to Atlantic City to see some of them. There was a club over in Atlantic City, Club Harlem,
Club Harlem.
and they used to have a lot of the top entertainers. And Nate's mother was good at taking us all over. She liked going, so I was always invited to go along. But I'm sorry, I cannot think of, because a couple of them came to Atlantic City during the summer.
It'll come to you
Wilson was his first name. Not Flip. Oh, he was so smooth.
Must have not been that good.
Clyde McFadder.
Clyde McFadder.
Do you remember him? Have you heard that name?
No.
Okay. All right. I wish I had known you were going to ask me that. I would have written that down because there were some very popular singers at that time.
Well, when it comes to you, it comes to you. So like from the time period you were just talking about till now, like what do you think changed, and like how do you America, race relations, opportunity,
Well, race relations have
technology,
changed.
all of it, you know? How do you
Race relations, technology. I learned to type on the typewriter. Now, I majored in business education. I taught business education. But when I came out of college, I had never had a computer. I started on the computer, I guess about 6 or 7 years out. I took a computer class.
Wow.
So that's a major, major change, technology. And
How you feel about it? You know, do you like it?
Oh,
you
I
think,
like it.
Do you think it's going too far? You can't wait.
No, I don't think it has gone too far. It's just that you have to be, you have to really want to learn to use it. And there's so many people my age that do not know how to use a computer because it was not available when they were coming through school or when they were young adults.
It's like a foreign language. But what about the way people treat each other? How do you think that's changed much, or really not much, or
3 steps forward and 4 steps back,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
like a shuffle kind of?
Right. Even with voting, you know what they're doing with voting now. They're trying to suppress the people's voter rights. And there were so many people that died so that we could vote. So that's still a problem. Civil rights has improved some, but then there's so many areas that it needs to be improved more. Voter registration is the major thing, and it was a major thing then, and it still is.
So do you think?
Hard to believe that.
Do you think like you know, the country that you live in has progressed, and it's a better place for me and my son than it was for you as a child? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do believe that.
You do believe that?
I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, because there were many people that died in marches and sit down. I participated in the sit down demonstration at A&T in 1961.
Yeah.
When Ezer Blair and some of his people decided that they were going to go into the five and dime and they were going to get service. And that's when it started in Greensboro, North Carolina. But understand, it had started in South Carolina before North Carolina.
Okay,
But,
and then that's when it spread throughout.
Yeah, but black people could not be served in The restaurants, some of them, or the five and dime, the counters where you sit down, they were not served there. I remember taking bus trips, and there were certain places that the bus would not stop.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
So those things have changed.
I know there were like a lot more black-owned businesses in the past, right? Or no?
Well, from where I came from, there were black-owned businesses. Not so much in the north as there were in the south.
Really?
My doctor was black. My dentist was black. The black supported the black in the south.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come north and you don't have black teachers. You don't have black doctors. Your grandfather was the first black lawyer out of Ocean City, New Jersey.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
And the first for a long, long, long time.
That's crazy.
In all of Cape May County.
That's even crazier.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those things have changed. But
Okay.
not as much as they need to.
Yeah, I mean, well, hey, listen. I'm just happy to hear that you say, you've seen some progress.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there has been progress.
So, just looking back on your life and your experiences, from having your career as a teacher, having a beautiful family, you have all your children can sit in one room and they can talk to each other and share a laugh.
Yes,
Not a lot of people can say that.
that's
I mean-
true. And I have beautiful grandchildren.
Exactly. You have a lot to be happy and grateful for. But what's your what brings you the most joy? What do you think about and be like, wow, I'm happy that that happened?
Family. My children, my grandchildren. Family is very important. Family is probably the most important thing. Knowing God, accepting God, and family.
I think those are really good ones, Madear. And I think, or actually I know that you mean what you say and you put your money where your mouth
do.
is. You do. So, this is a different question. This is not even more so about your story, just how you feel and think, Madear.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is most important to you? And can you just give examples of qualities or traits or values that
Values you're talking about?
yeah, values that people have, like being patient or never forget where you came from. A lot of people say that.
Okay.
What do you think?
First of all, I believe God is very important. You must accept God as your Savior. Then, after that, I believe in doing to others, treating others the way I would like to be treated myself. I believe in fairness.
What do you mean by fairness?
Being kind to people, treating people where you meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Not expecting people to be more than they are or less than they are. And just accepting people for what they are.
I like that, Madear.
You know?
I do.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong answer to that, right?
Not really. I mean, thank God that we don't design ourselves.
For real.
So,
Because what you think you want, you don't really want.
right.
So before I ask you my last question, I'm gonna ask you a question about me because I'm doing the interview and I'm being
Okay.
selfish. What was I like as a kid? Like, what do you remember as me as a kid? I'm just curious.
As a kid, I remember, first of all, you're my firstborn grandson.
True.
Grandson. And you were a beautiful kid. Beautiful kid. Your mother always made sure that you were out front. You were always number one, no matter where you went, what you were involved in. You were number one, always. And you brought a lot of joy. You were very smart, as you still are,
Thank you.
and very protective of your cousins, the younger ones. You always felt like, for example, when you and Amani and Donovan went somewhere, you always had your arms around them, protecting them, looking out for them.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great description. So, just in the future, right? Let's say my grandchildren or Macio's grandchildren or my son's grandchildren. What would you want to say to them, or what would you want them to know about you when they ask me about you in the future? And I'm like, yeah, just how you reminisced on your father. When I'm reminiscing on you, what do you want them to know? Hard question, right?
Yeah, that's a very hard question.
But a good one.
Yeah. Well, lead a clean life, a life that you can be proud of, a life that you're not ashamed of. Set goals for yourself. Am I answering your question?
There's no wrong answer. Yep. You're not talking to me. You're talking to Baby Ocean right now.
Okay. Baby Ocean. Baby Ocean, you need to, and my other grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, and great-great-great-grandchildren, believe in yourself and set goals for yourself. Okay?
I like
Believe in
it.
yourself and set goals for yourself.
I like it, Madear.
And don't let anyone deter you from your goals. Okay?
Hey, Maceo, before we wrap this up, you want to ask Madear a question?
Yeah, I would.
Have a seat next to her and
Hi,
ask her a
Maceo.
question. This is her other grandson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Madear's grandson. I'm the fourth grandchild, and I'm 11 years old. And what I would like to ask Madear
You're doing better than I did.
Full bio alert.
Yeah, we should have had you here.
So I would like to ask Madear, what should I say? Do you know how
Take your time.
do you remember any things I would do that you can remember?
Oh my. Well,
As a kid, you're talking about?
Yeah, in my younger years.
well, let me tell you this. I enjoyed seeing you and Ethan over in Dubai. I enjoyed watching you in rugby and swimming. And I realized that you are very competitive and you're very good at whatever you make up your mind to do, which is very good because you're going to need that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
And you're very loving. I like that.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Madear, because I know this was something that is new to you and a little bit abstract, but I appreciate you for talking to us. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll think about doing a part 2. But
As I told you, I don't like talking about myself, so whatever. I hope it's what you were expecting, what you were looking for.
everything I was looking for. So thank you, and you say bye.
Goodbye, Amir, and I can't wait to see this on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and perhaps if you get a chance to do it again, maybe your grandfather and I can do it together.
That would be awesome. So I'll do pop-up, and then you and pop-up together. That would be a really cool conversation.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Because you know what, I am sure that once you look at this, you're going to think of other things that you would like to cover.
100%.
Yes.
Alrighty. Cut.